How you doing, people? You know what? There's a lot of things that's been going on my mind lately. A lot's been going on my mind. A lot of things that I've been observing. A lot of things that I'm starting to see. There's a lot of things that I'm reading, even when talking to my daughters as well. And some of the things that they're coming back from school with. Even me going to work as well. Some of the things I'm talking to my colleagues with. Guys, there's a spiritual warfare going on in 2023. There's a spiritual warfare going on. And I feel like this has been going on for the past 3 years since I think before COVID. There's been a spiritual attack on a lot of people, and everyone is going through the spiritual attack. A lot of the spiritual attack is attacking relationships. A lot of spiritual attacks are attacking our children. Spiritual attack that's attacking the families. There's a spiritual attack that's just attacking everybody in general. Is attacking our jobs, our way of life. There's a lot of things that's been going on, and there's a one thing here that I'm going to talk about as well. There's some things here that I've seen on social media, and you know, sometimes you read something that somebody puts up, or you can read like from a meme or from a poster or from a quote that somebody's put up, and you look at it and you think to yourself, yeah, who gets all these ideas? Who comes up with all this crap and writes them all down? Like, there was one year about men, and I know you're right that this is coming from a damaged woman talking about men, talking about man needs to be more men, this and this and that. And I thought to myself, now, the problem is, as a man, myself, as a man, but not just a man, I'm a married man, I'm a family man. I've got 2 daughters and 1 little daughter on her way. You get me? I've got 1 unborn daughter on her way to this world. I'm going to be a father of 3 girls. And I'll tell anyone straight, I could never dare tell a woman how to be a woman. The same way I don't expect a woman telling a man how to be a man when she weren't raised up by a man. And I'll tell this straight, there's a lot of attacks that's going on both men and women more. And I'll say it straight now. Back in the day, things used to work out. Families were families. Married people were married. They sorted their issues out. You think relationships didn't have issues? You think marriages didn't have their issues? They had their issues. I grew up, I saw my grandparents, they were both married. They both had their own issues, but they always sorted things out because they reminded each other why they were in love in the first place. They reminded each other why they needed each other in the first place. Let me tell you something, not all the time a woman has to be in the kitchen cooking for the man, and the man's always at the work all the time. Back in the day, let me tell you something, you'd be surprised. My grandmother had a stroke. My grandmother had a stroke back in the 80s. My granddad, Jen, I'm telling you something, and I'm sure everyone will agree with me, in the Caribbean, majority of men in the Caribbean, they all cook. A lot of men can cook, you know. In the Caribbean, men, not just girls, you know, but little boys too, were taught how to cook. I was 9 years old. My grandmother taught me how to cook. She always said to me, yeah, Aaron, when you get older, yeah, and you don't know how to cook, and you meet a woman, yeah, who don't know how to cook, you both are gonna be living on takeaways. That's why she taught me from the age of 9 years old and my cousins how to cook, because she always says that a man needs to know how to cook food so that way he can depend upon himself and be more self-sufficient in the things that he can do, not always depending on a woman, not always seeing a woman as a woman has to be the object of doing this and that. And I've always agreed with that because my grandmother was a wise, strong woman, and she always taught us that as well. Nowadays, now people have this thing here where a woman has to be in the kitchen doing this and that. You got women now that are saying they don't need no man. Let me tell you everybody something. Both man and woman need each other. Both man and woman need each other. You want things to work, you need a balance. It's called a cosmic balance. You need a balance in life. You need to work things out. Your children needs both man and woman to watch to grow. You know what I mean? To watch and grow as well. And there's another thing as well that I'm going to come up with too, because there's one thing here that I saw, and I feel like to nowadays that's too much of an excuse. I'm always hearing as well, I've always heard this, but I've always saw it as well. Now, most men, yeah, will excuse their behavior to the absent fathers, right? Most men would do this. A lot of men excuses their behavior, how they are, for becoming an absent father because of the absent fathers in their lives. Let me tell you something. I know most men, yeah, that grew up with both parents, both their dad and their mum, both married, non-married. They grew up with both their parents, and the pattern, the behavioral pattern is exactly the same as the same man that was raised up without a dad. Don't get it twisted. I say it straight. I know most men that grew up without a dad, and I know the same man that grew with a dad, and they both have the same behavioral patterns, and they both do the same thing. They both do it. You get me? They both act a certain way. The thing about it is, there's too many excuses. I say this straight. There's too many excuses as men. We can't have excuses. We gotta better ourselves. If you wanna better yourself, you can't say to no man can say to me, yeah, they are the way they are because of this and that. Let me tell you something. You guys know my story, right? I had to be better. I needed to be better. When I had my daughter, I needed to be better. I needed to be better for her. I wanted to be better. It wasn't because it was a want thing, it was a need thing. I needed it for my daughter. I was becoming a dad. I grew up without a dad. You know what I mean? I grew up without my dad, right? I had my uncles around me. I had my male influences around me. I had my granddad around me. You've got male influences around you. Sometimes you don't need a dad. As long as you got your male influences around you, those are the ones that influence you to be the better man that you can be. Let me tell you something. You can be a better man. You do it for your kids. You do it for yourself. You do better. You don't make these streets turn you into something that you're not. You've got potential. As I've said, there's an attack here on us black men, and I'll say it straight. There is an attack here on us black men. It's like there's certain that want to keep us down, that want us to be down, that don't want our kids to be to be a certain way. It's about breaking generational curses, breaking them. And completely, you've got to break these generational curses, because if we don't break them, we're gonna continue it. With myself, yeah, I've continued a new cycle, a brand new cycle. I've started a generation. I've started a generation of a legacy. But you guys got to learn to break it. There's most men out there that are continuing a new cycle. Some are continuing a new toxic cycle. Some are continuing a new positive cycle. It's up to you, end of the day, what you want to do. As I've always said, there is help out there, right? There's help out there. And let me tell every man something, man. If you want to be the best version of yourself for your kid, you can do it. Don't make excuses for being how you are. Don't be making up all these excuses, especially when you're a big ass age. Don't make these excuses. I'm 31 years old. I know most of my older than me still make up excuses for how they are. And I always look at them. I thought to myself, you got no excuse. You should have come past this long time ago. It's easy. And most of them got kids. And they still act the same way. Making excuses to why they're the way they are. Doing this and doing that. To me, is excuses. Don't get rid of these excuses and be better. Be better. If you gotta pick up a book, if you gotta learn something, try and discover the things that's keeping you down. Discover the things why you're failing at something. You might be surprised at some of the things you discover that you keep doing as a repeated pattern that may end up keeping you falling back down. Get away from that and do something different that you never thought that you would have never done before. I'm telling you this now, right? Do something different. I'm telling you, do something completely different. You've got it in you, and I'm here to tell you guys, you got this in yourself. But like I was saying, there isn't a spiritual attack on a lot of people. And you know what? I wish everybody healing. I wish everybody greatness as well. I always say everybody has potential. Everyone has their abilities. Everyone's got their talents. Everyone's got their skill sets. Start putting these things to positive, good use. Don't sell yourself too short. Know what your value is. Know yourself. Create something different. Use those gifts, yeah, that God gave you to better yourself, to be better that you can be. Trust me. Don't let society change you and control you. You take control of your life and you do something. I believe in everybody. I've always said this. I believe that people can do good. There's just the choices, that everyone has a choice at the end of the day in what they want to do in themselves and that. But have a good day, people. I thought I have to do a little bit of a vent, man. Certain conversations I've been having with a lot of young guys myself, man. And I tell them the same thing, you know what? They tell me all the time, I inspire them. You know what I mean? Because I know it. I've been there myself. But guys, you take care of yourself, yeah?